Hello everyone, this is Ronnie from UK Fruit Fest from YouTube. Thank you for watching. And today I actually want to talk about something I don't think I've ever done a video about this, and it's about money and about my own relationship and ideas towards money. And I'm going to tie that into, different people promoting things online and why that kind of influences people and changes people's perception and things like that. Now, money is a very powerful thing, and people have all sorts of weird ideas about it, and a lot of people have negative ideas about it. And really, what you want to, I think you want to get to a point where you have a very neutral opinion on it, because it doesn't have any power within itself. It's just pieces of paper or numbers in a bank account. It's what that means for us as humans in society and how other people treat us and opportunities we get as a result of having money or not having money. So we put a lot of value on money. We put a lot of emotion into it, negative and positive, and it influences us in many ways. So it is an important topic. The reason that I'm talking about it in relation to the raw food movement is, well, there's a couple of things. Um, Firstly, I want to let me talk about my own evolution of my relationship with money, because when I was getting into all this stuff, I'd been living a life where money was never something that I focused on. So the way that I was brought up was, I think my parents, I wouldn't say that they were not well off or not, they weren't rich, they weren't particularly well off. I don't think they were poor, um, or anything like that, but we never, me and my three brothers, and that's another thing, quite a big family, so we didn't like get everything that we wanted. If we wanted new clothes and new things and whatever, we would get it if we needed it, but not if we wanted it. And if we wanted a toy or a present, we might sometimes get it, but usually we would be told we had to wait for birthdays and Christmas and stuff. So I always, I kind of learned at an early age that, you know, when you buy something like a toy, I realized that it's really exciting when you first get it and you think this is going to be the one. And I remember buying a new football and I just couldn't stop looking at it. It was so beautiful to me, this football. And it was just sitting there and I was looking at it and it was amazing to me. But after a few weeks, you realize it loses that power. And then you just realize it's just a thing now. And you're bored with it completely. And if at that age I'd been able to just go and get something new, I would have forgotten about that and I would just got something new, got something new, got something new. And that's kind of what a lot of people are stuck in, is this thing of like they just always have that thing of buying something new and this is the most amazing thing, and then it's boring after a week. Then they buy something else and then it's boring. So I kind of broke that cycle fairly young, or I saw through that. But that's not really a bad thing in a way. It's only bad if you're not aware of it. But that was one thing that kind of led me towards being less materialistic, I suppose, the way I was brought up. And I think that there was a lot of things that we didn't do because my parents maybe didn't have the money, or they perceived that they didn't have the money. They maybe might have had the money, but they they didn't want to spend money on certain things. And and later on, I think my parents were earning more money, but they still didn't. They still don't spend money even now. So my mum and dad, they've apart from things like they've bought their house outright. They actually bought another house as well. Um, and they have a car and stuff like that, but they still don't really spend a lot of money on stuff. They don't buy clothes really, or expensive clothes, or they rarely do that. They rarely even, they'll pay money for stuff like, improvements to the house maybe, and work that has to be done like that. They've given me and my brothers a lot of money towards our education, and probably money towards, like, when my brothers were buying houses, maybe they got some help with that. I don't know. I've certainly got help a number of ways from my parents for different things. So, you know, that's, I guess, where they've put their money, right? But the environment I was brought up in was not particularly. They didn't really speak about money and didn't really want to spend money. So that's kind of where I was. And as I was growing up, I wasn't thinking about money very specifically. And I never wanted to get a job, right? So when I was growing up, like, I was kind of like, why would I get a job? I don't really want to buy anything. This sounds kind of silly, but there wasn't really anything I was desperate to buy because I'd already broken that cycle of wanting to get something. So I wasn't thinking, oh, I want to buy the new clothes and all that. So I didn't have that inspiration to go and get a job and go and work hard and buy things because it just seemed like, well, I could just not work and not buy things, right? Which maybe sounds stupid, but that's kind of the way I was thinking. And even going to university and stuff like that, I didn't really understand the whole thing of, like, getting a good job to make money and all this. It was never really all that specifically clear to me. And I wanted to do music and be a musician, and I kind of just assumed that I would do that, and probably you would make money along the way. And so I never really focused on the how am I going to make money, and where is the money, and all that stuff. And I wasn't desperate to make money. I didn't have that feeling. And then obviously you grow up and you've got other responsibilities and you need to do things, and you need to start making some money to cover your things. So, and my friends were all working and doing stuff, so I was like, okay, I'll go and get a job as well. Went and got a job, went and got various jobs. Realised this isn't so great, doing these jobs, and you feel like you're smarter than all these people, or you're more capable, but you're not more qualified. So went back, got finished qualifications, and then still didn't find a job. Did other jobs and whatever, and the thing was, like, even when I was working with these jobs, I never was, like, thinking about the money I was making. I mean, obviously, that's why I was doing it, right? But I never really thought about it like that was that was the reason I was doing it, in a weird way. And I never, like, there was guys who their pay packet would come in and they would be looking at it and studying it, and they'd go to the office and they'd say, no, I did an extra hour or two on this day, I should be getting paid more. I never checked any of that stuff. I never checked my tax code. So there was one year that I was being overly taxed for, like, an entire year or something like that. I was being taxed too much. Didn't even realize it, didn't even think about it until I realized it, and then I got some money back. So I didn't even know what days I was paid, or I was never focused on this thing of money, right? Um, and probably had some negative opinions towards money as well, and maybe looked at people that were earning more money. I don't know. At the same time, I always listened to, like, personal development information and stuff. So all of that was always about being positive about money, and being positive about other people making money and things like that, and also kind of being, and I was always kind of expecting, maybe I was expecting that I would make money, especially maybe from my music or something. I was expecting at some point I would do that, right? So I was kind of keeping a positive idea towards it, um, and so I just wasn't very clear. It wasn't something I was focused on. It wasn't the main focus of my life. I was focusing on, like, my own development, my own experiences, and blah 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 blah. Right. Um. So when I got into raw foods and went to Woodstock and did stuff like that, so I was working in a job at a place called HMRC, which is basically the tax office, HM Revenue and Customs. And I was doing a call centre job. I was earning something like, on a monthly basis, maybe £1,200, which is 15,000 to £18,000 a year, which is is a low salary in the UK, lower than average, right? And I was living at home, and I had a little bit of money saved, and I didn't really have a lot of, I didn't spend a lot of money. Um, had a little bit of money saved, not that much. So when I got into raw foods, and I went to Woodstock, and obviously spent money doing that, and when I got into that whole community, I started to watch different people online and see things, and I still wasn't ever thinking about the fact, like when I watched YouTube, I didn't think, okay, these are all people that are promoting something, or they're trying to make money or anything. I was just watching YouTube videos, right? I didn't really think about anything like that. And then I started to hear like Durian Rider. I would watch some of his videos, and he would say, oh, this person's just trying to sell this, and this person has an affiliate link, and this is MLM, and this is all this. I didn't know what any of these things were. And I didn't really know that people were making money on YouTube. I didn't know anything like that. And when I first went to Woodstock, there was a few classes on, I think Durian Rider gave a class on how to do YouTube, and I didn't go. And there was classes like that. I didn't go to any of them because I wasn't focused and thinking about money and business and all that. I just didn't like that feeling of making that like, oh, I'm gonna go and make money on YouTube. I didn't like that feeling. And I started YouTube, and it was just to stay in touch with friends, really. And other friends were doing it, so I started doing it. And gradually I started to learn a bit more. And I'm gonna have to probably make this a two-part video because this is gonna run out pretty soon. But gradually, as I watched these different people and I was exposed to this, I started to understand what this kind of all was, and I started to, the thing that actually, the only thing that ever made me start to focus on money and change my attitude towards it and be more specific about it was when I did the Fruit Festival. And when I did the Fruit Festival, that was me taking a massive risk financially, doing that, and not really knowing what I was doing, and taking a big risk, and actually losing quite a lot right in the first year of the festival. So I was just kind of expecting it to all come together and do well, and people would love this, and people would definitely come. I had very optimistic ideas. But when you face losing a lot of money, that's the first time in my life that I started to be very focused on it. Now I started to develop, right, I need to actually be very focused on this and not try and move this aside like this isn't all that important. All the other aspects of my life are important. When you're running a festival or an event like that, all of a sudden you realize this is incredibly important. This money thing is the big deal that you have to focus on almost as much as anything else, or more than. And that made me start to actually study and learn about money, and like I just started to like, because I was all of a sudden I was like, I'm gonna lose all this money. I need to find out, how do I make money here. It was the first time in my life that I was like, how do I make some money? What do I need to do to, because I was, and at that point you're open and vulnerable to being exposed to like scams and things, and you look at things and they're like, buy this magic software, and it just puts money into your bank account every month or something, like it's a stock market machine or something, like all this nonsense, right? But you actually feel quite compelled to buy into it because you're desperate, you're in desperate need to make some money, right? So, and I was still working at the same time. I just wasn't making enough money from my job, right? So, and it's kind of weird because it's weird that I would think I need to make money, and I would go and look for a way to make money, because that was the idea. I was thinking, well, if I can find a way to make money, then I can pay for the festival, the debt of the festival. Whereas, why didn't I just think, how do I get more people to come to the festival? That's a weird thing that I didn't think that. And I've seen other people do that, where they kind of go, oh, it's okay, I can make enough money to cover if my festival or my event loses money. That's the totally wrong focus. It's like, well, Why don't you focus on getting more people to come to your festival? That's what you should focus on. So that was the first part of me evolving towards developing a more realistic view towards money. And I'll talk about that in the second video because I'm going to run out of time on this video. But thank you for watching. Subscribe, share, blah, blah, blah. And we'll talk about this in the next video that should be posted just after this one. Thank you for watching. And leave your comments below if any of this has resonated with you or made sense. And yep, things are looking good. Beard's trimmed. And it's a beautiful day here. Hope it's a beautiful day where you are. As I say, this will be part one. We'll go into part two in the next video. Thank you.